So, hello everybody! My name is Kikrlin and welcome to PC2 again this Saturday. I am your commentator, Kikrlin, or you may also know me from PC1 as Dino. Today I'll be commentating with my fellow commentator, Adam Lapidge. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, but you just butchered my name. But it's fine. Don't worry about it. I can't say your surname either.
It's okay.
So, yeah.
So,
welcome to Austria in the rolling Styrian Hills for the shortest track on the Ero calendar. Just 9 turns, 6 to the right, 3 to the left, and a qualifying lap of about 63 seconds. So I expect to see some drivers tripping over each other as they try and get that perfect lap in for the best possible starting position. The tyres for Austria are the middle of the Pirelli range, the C2, C3 and C4, and, weather allowing, it's an easy soft and medium one-star, so we shouldn't see too much of the hard.
And as you're saying that, we are starting the qualifying session. We have short qualifying, which is gonna last 18 minutes, and then a 50% race. Austria is one of the shortest tracks in the calendar, in the real-life Formula 1 calendar, and so we're gonna have a lot of laps, probably around 36, as in real life there are 72 laps. So yeah, it's not that difficult as it is pretty short as well. A 1 minute 02 or 03 is probably going to be close with everyone else. So we should expect to see a pretty close grid today, but that's gonna differ with how everyone performs today and which strategies they want to do. Austria is pretty known for rain as well. We don't have rain at the moment in qualifying, but there is always a chance of rain in the race. So let's see if it's gonna come or not.
Yeah, and of course the thing you have to realise as well, even though with there being so few corners, so there's only 9 corners, turn 2 isn't a corner, so you basically got 8. And the thing with that is, what you've sort of got to realise with it is if you lose a couple of tenths in a corner, if you're very slightly off, you brake slightly too early, slightly too late, you get your line a bit wrong, miss the apex, there isn't really anywhere for you to recover that, because you've got so few corners. If you make a mistake at Pirelli in turn 5, and you run a little bit wide, where are you making that time up? You've got 3 real corners after that, with Worth, Rint and Mobile. And that's all you've got. So that you've got to find that 2 tenths again. It's not like somewhere like Singapore or Baku, where if you make a mistake in the first sector or the start of the second sector, you've got a huge amount of time where you can sort of find that little bit that you've got wrong. You just don't have that.
And you also have to be careful with the curbs, as in this year's games, the curbs in Austria especially are brutal. So in turn 1 you have to be especially careful so you don't unsettle the car too much, because that will most likely cause you to invalidate or DNF from the session. As we have our first guy on a flying lap, which is Michael Mischler in the Alpine, who actually gets a pretty okay first corner, so that's pretty okay. He's now in the longest straight in the whole circuit, coming up to turn 2. You want to go
turn
to...
3. Turn 2 is that tiny little kink.
Oh.
Apparently.
Seriously?
Yeah, apparently. It's not a corner. But supposedly turn 2 is that little kink. I know, it's daft. So yeah, so that's Remus, that's turn 3. This is Roche, which is turn 4. It's tricky to get the line right on Roche. You want to brake later than you think. Just sort of carry as much speed as possible. The car run wide on the exit. Carry as much speed as you can here through Pirelli, turn 5. And into Worth again, drop it down into 5th. Try and clip that inside apex, he's just missed it. But it's not a terrible line, he carried plenty of speed through there. And then we're into Rint, which is downhill. Drop it down a gear or 2 and just throw it in and hope it sticks. But he hasn't validated his lap somewhere. And then through the final corner of Mobile and over the line. It's that fast of a lap. So expect to see near the end of qualifying as Ryan Chapman goes fastest with a 104.4, just as a sighter lap. Yeah, so expect to see drivers tripping over each other at the end, because there just isn't space to find a lap. If you put every single car on the track and give them a 3-second gap, the guy at the back is going to be on the start line.
And as you're saying that, there are actually no cars going on softs, just like last time in Britain. But that could be a chance for rain in the race, but as we saw in Britain last week, there wasn't any. So this is gonna be really interesting.
With it being an easy one-stop, you don't really have to do any tyre management at Austria in order to get through that one-stop. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
Probably.
The alternate strategy isn't as powerful, because you're not having to manage the softs when you're heavy on fuel. You can just gun it straight out. So you'll build that bit of a gap over the guys on mediums, and then you'll be fat at the end of the race if you sort of start on the mediums, but you've lost out on that gap that you have to make up for. As we see, people are tripping over each other. Last year on a flying lap, Camille had to get off the circuit to get out of the way.
And he has stopped his flying lap as he was held up by everyone who was on their outlap.
So difficult to find a gap here. Like,
it is.
Expect to see some punishments from the stewards for it, but you can't really blame the drivers too much because it's extremely difficult.
Oh, we have a disqualification. I'm really sorry for interrupting you, but we do have a disqualification of. Did you see who that was?
Paolo.
Of Paolo.
For blocking the pit lane. So, yeah, so basically he's moved to get out of the way and he's done it in the wrong place. It's a bit sketch sometimes on the game. Remember we had one, I can't remember which tier it was, but there was a disqualification similar in Singapore this year, because somebody spun and dropped it out of the last corner and managed to and blocked the pit lane, and it immediately disqualified it.
And that's
so it's a bit keen. It's a bit keen, Codemasters this year.
That is pretty unfortunate. Our fastest guy currently is Martin Vallo with a 104.3. Our this is gonna be his second race. Previously, it was his first in Britain, which he was pretty good, if I remember correctly.
No, wrong off Towery. Martin's doing pretty good. He's fairly high up in the standings. So we should probably mention this. We've had our 4th promotion to PC1 already this season, which is more than you'd get in a whole season ordinarily. And that means that Greg is now leading the championship. However, when a driver gets promoted, any points they've earned themselves are sort of frozen because it's an individual thing, but their constructors' points are continued. So with the promotions that we've had from Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin, those two teams are at the top of the constructors' standings, separated by just 1 point.
That's pretty close. And
so
like as
they'll
Adam
have
said,
to hope that their new drivers this weekend make the most of their opportunities in those teams to either build or extend or overcome that little lead they've got.
I guess we'll have to see. But like Adam said, we do have a Aston Martin driver who was dominating in PC2. Nathan Powers, I think his name was, has been promoted to PC1, so he's not gonna be racing here with us anymore. We also have a new driver, Duhast, in the Alfa Romeo, so let's see what he can do in his debut race, as we are going to be on board with him. He is one of the only ones to go on the mediums. Greg is the second guy.
Greg's on mediums as well, yeah.
The Ferrari.
16.3 in the first sector, that's pretty good, it's not bad.
I think
but
the mediums...
he gets a bad line through Remus.
He does.
Didn't carry speed through Remus at all, so he's going to lose time now all the way down to Roche.
I think
he doesn't have his DRS open, so I think he's bailed the lap.
I think the AI was controlling the lap, as he's taking very weird lines into turn 4 and braking very interestingly. As George is just in front of him, who has passed him on a flying lap, I think, has a spun. So that's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah.
So
George has binned it on the exit of Roche. Unfortunately. It's an easy place to lose it. I mean, a lot of the track is sort of weird camber angles and things. There's a lot of elevation changes here that you can sort of see from Duhas on board, if you're on board with him now. The run up to turn 1 is quite a steep hill, and then once you get round to turn 1, round Castrol Edge, you're uphill all the way to Remus as well, and then for the rest of the lap you're dropping all the way back down to get to the pit building.
I think I'm having some desync issues. Maybe?
That wouldn't surprise me.
Me neither, but...
Better line through Remus for Duhast.
Is he on a flying lap?
Yeah, I would say so. He's got his DRS open on the way run down to Roche, so I think he bailed the last one because he messed up Remus. It's a good line through Roche. Clips that inside curb. Lets the height of the curb drag his inside wheels around the corner. Could have gone a bit wider on the entry into Pirelli, but manages to keep it on the track through the exit.
Are you seeing how he's accelerating and braking at the same time? Like he's very weird on the brakes, like releases or presses it at the same time, like instantly, which is really weird. And that
105.2 on the mediums puts him 11th.
Interesting.
You will need to find some more speed, but Greg only has 105.1 on the mediums. The delta here is not huge, because it's not such a long lap and there's really many traction zones, really. A lot of the corners are quite fast. But starting on those mediums is less valuable than it is at a lot of other tracks, as Darrell's now coming up behind him at speed. Oh, he's on an outlap, never mind. Darrell's on an outlap.
Let's be on board with George Norton, who is on a flying lap right now. A Aston Martin driver, a teammate of 2
8 thousandths up after the first sector, 10th and a half after the second. As Lasse Rasmussen goes fastest with a 104.2.
That is pretty impressive. George will have a bit of dirty air from the cars ahead of him, who are just starting their flying lap right now.
But he'll also get a tow from his teammate down this pit straight, which might get him that little bit of time back. He does a 104.8 to go 8th.
And he improved by 4 tenths, but he is going really slowly, so he's not doing another lap. But his teammate just ahead of him is doing another lap, as Ryan Chapman is doing one as well. They will be pretty close to one another, so Tuka will have a lot of dirty air behind Ryan Chapman. If you're new to Formula 1 and if you don't know what the dirty air is, that's air that's coming off behind one car, and that's gonna just disturb your lines, and you're gonna be way slower in the corners. So that's
the
preferable
aerodynamic
to...
wake from the car in front.
Yes. So
it's way less impactful in the game than real life, but you can still definitely feel it. It induces quite a lot of understeer as Tuka's actually bailed out of his lap because of that.
And Ryan Chapman has a purple sector too, so he's probably going to be in P1. The Haas drivers are having a pretty good qualifying session today with Lasse Rasmussen in P1.
I thought we'd be saying Haas 1-2 today. He does go fastest with another 104.2. Very close between Ryan and Lassie. Just 18 thousandths of a second.
That is pretty impressive. Let's see if we're gonna have some team orders between these two drivers to maybe have a better race for the team. But we're gonna have to wait and see how they go into turn 1. Tuka is on another flying lap, if I see that correctly. He gets a bit of oversteer or too much throttle in turn 3 at the exit. Coming right now to turn 4. He goes on the green line. Ryan Chapman has left him space, but he goes really wide.
But he hasn't invalidated, but he lost a lot of time there.
He did.
Roche.
He's probably going to stop this lap and go into the pit lane for fresh rubber. There are 6 minutes remaining, so there is time to do a few more laps. So
yeah, it's such a short lap here. You can easily get 4 runs, and you can use all of your sets of tyres here, mediums and 3 sets of softs. Safety cars are not unheard of around Austria, but they're fairly unusual.
Elliott in the AlphaTauri coming up at the finish line to see if he's improved. He's improved to 110.
4.5 goes P5. It's so close.
It is.
The field is so close. All the way back from Ryan in first down to Duhast in 13th on the mediums. It's covered by a second.
And that is very
small margins around a short track like this.
Let's hope that the race is gonna be as close as this, and that we're gonna have pretty nice battles.
Well, I don't think Tobias, the PC2 steward, would appreciate that after the amount of reports he had from Silverstone last week.
We
thought it was a fairly clean race. Apparently not.
Apparently not. As Michael Mischler was sideways in turn 3 at the exit, he probably had too much throttle and caused him to spin. He
isn't on his outlap though, so he might just be sliding the back end of it to warm those rear tyres up.
Maybe, but he almost hit the wall, and he might have damage.
Maybe not then.
He might have damage, I don't know. But yeah, he was sideways.
It's still lively. From my experience, you need quite a whack to damage the rear diffuser or the rear wing in the game.
I don't know, maybe. This depends on what damage is, if it's on standard or reduced. But he is making...
I believe it's on standard, though.
Could be. I don't check, to be honest. But he is starting flying lap. As he invalidates on the last corner, that's probably going to invalidate his next one as well.
Oh, that's bad. That's going to ruin this set of tyres.
He still has a bit of time, 4 minutes, so he can get another set of
he could come in and out again,
do another lap.
Oh, we've got... Yeah, he could come in and out again, that wouldn't be a problem.
I think Rob Kinnable, just in front of him, is also doing another lap. A 109.8 currently for the Red Bull driver. Red Bull is not having
that's a bailed lap.
Probably. Let's see if he can...
You can't lose 5 seconds around Austria.
I mean...
Unless you drive like 2 of the columns in reverse.
Let's see...
It's a good line through the middle sector. Yeah, he's 3.7 seconds up on his split. Which is going to put him... Well, it's going to put him in touch with the back of the field, but you don't know how much time he's going to gain in this final sector here. Runs a little wide through the second last turn through Rin.
But the final corner is
it's a decent drive out of the last corner.
104.8.
104.8.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
18 thousandths away from P8 and 22 thousandths ahead of P10. That close up and down the grid. It's ridiculous. The biggest gap is between Mantos and Tuka in 4th and 5th, which is still under 2 tenths. And we have currently got, as well as a Haas front row, we have an Alpha Tauri second row. I don't think we were expecting that at all.
I mean, I wasn't, to be honest. But let's see.
If only the real Austrian Grand Prix had that grid. Imagine the carnage.
Imagine. So, not a lot of people are currently out. There is still a lot of time to do one lap, but in Austria, it has a reputation of having really bad hold-ups. Everyone holding each other up at the final sector to
finding space. Everyone's queuing up before Rent to try and find space for their lap. It's not good, and that would be a penalty in the race, Robbie. Don't cross the white line on pit entry.
Tuka set a lap time
of... found out twice.
Tuka set a lap time of 104.2, so our top 4 drivers are only separated by 42 thousandths of a second. Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculously close. Camille has retired. I haven't actually seen what happened to him.
I'm not sure if he binned it or if he just chose to retire. It was quite early in the session, I think.
I don't know. He said that he put the wrong setup. That is very unfortunate.
Oh yeah, so he'll have left the session and then he'll apply his setup before the race.
Maybe, but Park Ferme is still on, so it would remember. Tuka set a lap time of 104.0.
That's a second lap on that set of softs.
So he's
that's really good.
That's really good, but
almost
he will have to start on those. He will have to start on those tires.
It doesn't matter. The tyres last so long around here, it's fine. It doesn't matter. As George goes P6, so we've got both Aston Martins, both Haas, and both Alpha Tauris now in the top 6.
Raphael goes to P8.
The thing that with his tyres as well being a lap older, it just means that he can pit the lap before George. So neither of them are going to be compromised.
I guess so. If you're new to Formula 1, if you start or if you do a qualifying lap on a certain tire and you qualify in the top 10, you have to start on the tire you have put that lap on. We do have a retirement. Lassie
retires, but Lassie retired in the pits. But 9 didn't. Has he been that? Or is he just pulled off to the side?
I'm not sure, but...
he's definitely crashed. I'm not sure how he's crashed on the run to Remus, but he's definitely crashed.
I am not sure.
He's currently embedded in the wall as George drives past him.
And another retirement of a Ferrari of Jacob. I'm not gonna say that surname as I don't want to mispronounce it.
Muzinski, I would say.
I don't know.
But I am English and can't pronounce anything foreign. So.
That's one factor of it. Ryan Chapman was on a flying lap, but he invalidated into turn 1, so he's gonna stay P2 if no one else will improve. Only Martin Vallo and Daryl in the McLaren can snatch that position
George
from him.
is winding up for a flyer. He's bailed out of this one. But he's not going to get it in. He's not going to get it in. But he was 9/10 down at the sector 2 split.
I think the only guy that can improve is
Mantos
Daryl.
goes very wide on the last corner. So that will be invalidated. Daryl's on the left, just coming down into Roche now.
Well, let's see how much he can improve.
He's currently P6.
He is.
Spoiling that party at the front for the Haas, AlphaTauri and Aston Martin guys. As Greg goes P6, he's decided to do a lap on softs. Daryl's currently half a second down on his split, so this isn't going to be an improvement.
But maybe if he can improve in the final 2 corners, anything can happen. But he goes pretty slowly.
Not finding half a second.
He was pretty slow, so that's nothing. That's not gonna happen.
Duhast is bailing out of his soft lap, so he's choosing to start P14. If you are one of the guys starting from 11th backwards, so anybody backwards from Jacob, you do get to pick whatever tyres you want to start on. So they could take a fresh set of softs that they've not used in qualifying, or they could take a set of mediums. You obviously get given a fresh set for the race. Or, I mean, they could even try a fresh set of hards. But it's kind of pointless around here, to be honest.
Probably. As this is the end of our qualifying session, that was actually pretty intense. Our pole position is set by Tuka Rahkola in the Aston Martin, a 104.0. Very impressive from the Aston Martin driver. Next up, who's rounding up the front row is Ryan Chapman in the Haas, only 1.5 tenths slower than Tuka. His teammate Lasse Rasmussen is P3. So pretty good day for Haas, I would say, and AlphaTauri as well. Elliott and Martin Vallo are P4 and P5. Greg in the Ferrari P6, who is leading the championship, as you've said. Daryl P7, George Norton, P8, Michael Mischler, Raphael, Jacob, Rob, Georgios Duhast, Jamie, Camille, and Paolo is running up the final spot on the grid. So, pretty close qualifying session, but that was, to be honest, expected, as Austria is a really small track.
Although all the way back to George in 13th is less than a second. Every single driver in the top 13 was in the 104s. So, there's not a lot of places to gain time, but there's also not a lot of places to lose time. As it's dry for the start of the race, definitely, and it looks fairly clear. There's a few clouds floating around in the sky, but nothing too overcast.
But
we're not super grey like we have been in the past.
Like we have been last week in Britain as well, but there still wasn't any rain. We were expecting rain, but it
can
didn't
change
come.
quite quickly at Austria. The best place to see where the weather's coming from is sort of the prevailing winds and things. And Comas has kind of coded this in quite well as well. He's on the run up to Remus, because you're sort of pointed at the sky, you can see the cloud cover sort of coming over from the mountains slightly higher up.
Probably.
As
To
we
be
get
honest,
ready for the formation line.
I haven't really paid attention to that, so I don't really know. But yeah, very close grid today. Only
Absolutely.
I think 1.5 seconds between everyone, I would say. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, a second. Oh, as George and Michael get disqualified for a collision on the formation lap. So they're going to be sat on the grid with freezing cold tyres now.
That is
so
really
that could make
unfortunate.
it a bit spicy in the run up to Remus. They're going to get mobbed if they don't get a good exit out of Castrol Edge. As Tuka leads them round for the formation lap, just warming up their tyres, followed by the two Haas of Ryan and Lassie. As I don't know if it's up for you, but the predicted pit stop strategy has popped up for me. A soft to medium one stop. Taking around lap 15, 16. Tuka will be a lap earlier than that because he is on 2 lap old tyres currently.
Probably, but we should be expecting a bit of rain, as you said previously. There are a bit of clouds in the air, so anything can happen. We have 36 laps, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Austria turn 1 in lap 1 is pretty known for having pretty bad collisions with everyone else, especially in the games. In real life it's okay, but in the games it's very bad and very dirty.
There's a lot of runoff area though, so I mean that's the kind of the good thing about Codemasters getting the track limits wrong, is where it can be exploited at some places. It's quite good here because you can, if you have to, you can sort of escape over that runoff area to avoid contact, and you shouldn't get a warning for it
But
if you go wide enough.
let's hope that doesn't happen.
As the grid
But,
now has
yeah.
formed.
We are waiting for
So we're just
2
waiting
more guys.
for the last 2.
Paulo and Jamie, I think. Yep, Paulo and Jamie in the back row. They are probably doing that so the leaders have really cold tires. But we should be starting in just a few moments. And there we go, we should be starting. We have 3, 4 and 5 red lights, and then let's see. We are on the way, and everyone has a pretty good start, and Tuka is still leading.
Lasty gets an amazing start. Ryan's going backwards off the line.
And Tuka
Quite a
has
few drivers running wide at turn 1, but they'll get away with that.
Martin Valo has gained P3 from Ryan Chapman, so he had a pretty bad start. No dive bombs into turn 3, everyone is keeping it very safe, which is very good to see. Very clean driving. We have some guys in the mid-pack, Elliot and George side by side into turn 4. Let's hope they don't collide. George is going for it, for the move, and he's leaving enough space for Elliot, and they touch a little bit, but Elliot has overtaken him, and he is P6 currently, but George is still trying to go for it around the outside, but that doesn't happen. We have a yellow flag.
We've got a spinner.
Michael Mishler
It's
as
Camille.
Elliot. Oh, Elliot has spun George. Elliot has spun George.
Oh,
That
George
is,
got a really good start. He was really pushing to try and get past the guys in front. And I think, yeah, he's pitting. He must have damage.
that is very unfortunate for George.
George pits with damage, so you might be going on the hards and trying to get to the end from here. It's possible.
It is, but he will have to conserve
Yes,
those
it is.
tires a lot. Yellow flag.
Camel spins again on pit entry. He already spun earlier in the lap, just not quite looking after those extremely hot tyres.
We have
So
Rob.
we've got 2 guys in the pits on the first lap. Yeah, Greg gets a new front wing. I'll see if Camel does as well.
We have a battle in the mid pack. Daryl and Jacob, Greg's teammate, going around the inside into turn 4 of Daryl in the McLaren, and they touch a little bit, but Jacob has made the move to P10, the final points position. So that was pretty impressive.
A new front wing for Camel as well.
Ryan.
So those guys at the back. Camel's gone on the mediums. Don't think
Yes,
you
he
can get the
has.
mediums to the end from here, so he might be banking on a safety car. And so has Greg. They've both gone on the medium tyres, which would definitely be a struggle to get to the end. I think 30 laps is probably the hard limit of what you can do. As
Probably.
Tuka's starting to build a little bit of a lead, but he's not got out of the DRS range, and DRS will now open for all the guys behind. All the way back to Elliot in P5 will have DRS. George has dropped back a little bit, so he's not going to get it in P6.
But currently we still have no DNFs, so that is pretty good. We are on lap 3, 33 laps remaining of the race, so anything can still happen. The pack is already really close, as we do have a spin of Georgios into the wall. He has front wing damage, but thankfully he has not
the front wing's
retired.
gone. The front wing's gone. He's going to have to dive in the pits as well, and he started on the mediums, which is really going to hamper his strategy. He was hoping to go along with those, get on the softs, and fly past people at the end.
Looks like
So
that
he might be
strategy is not good.
putting the hards on, so he only has to do 1 stop. That's possible. Otherwise, it would definitely be two soft stints from here.
And Daryl has retired from the session. He has spun into turn 6 or 7, I think that is. He has spun it into the wall. He had a pretty good qualifying session, but that collision was really unfortunate. No safety car though, so that is very interesting.
Big bin that. Yes, George pits. I'm driving around with no front wing for a lap. That might put him last. Oh, it's Camel's.
Maybe.
I think spun again. Yeah, Camel's gone very wide at Remus. He's almost lapped. We're 4 laps into the race, and the leaders can see him. As we've got a move from Lassie. Lassie's going for the lead. Gets the move into Rausch with DRS. And manages to get back on the racing line ahead of Tuka. Can Tuka stick close now and get the benefit of the 3 DRS zones on the next lap?
Or will he lose even more
Slots now
positions?
into the middle of that train of 5.
Looks like everything
So
is
Lassie
still
leads.
good.
But he's coming up behind Camel, which is why you might see Camel on your screen in the Alpine, with Tuka in second. Ryan third.
Oh, Camille
And
has
the
spun.
2 Alpha Towers of Martin and Elliot behind.
Camille has spun into the final corner, so he is already being lapped.
Not having a good day.
Of course. He has a wrong setup, so of course he's not having a good day. We are on board with Duka. He's trying to go on a run to Lasse Rasmussen, but
he has to go defensive as Ryan tries to get around the outside of Remus.
let's see if he can stick the move. He has a pretty good exit, and he has overtaken him.
Drive.
And Haas are leading 1-2 today's race. That is very, very impressive. And
Elliot's made mistakes somewhere and dropped back from this front pack. And Raphael has managed to overtake George. Ooh, there's contact on the entry to Roche. But both managed to keep pointing in the right direction. George could have a bit of front wing damage from that. But it's nothing major, he's still got all his M plates and pieces.
I think that Tuka is trying to go on Ryan into the final few corners, but he has broken pretty early to try and not get contact, as Elliot gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings and corner cutting as well. So the job for the Haas drivers right now is to try and keep the DRS between them so that they have a better chance of staying in P1 and P2. But Duka is having a pretty good run into turn 3, and he's going to run the outside just like Ryan did on the previous lap, but he locks up, and he's been touched by Ryan.
On exit.
He's been touched by Ryan, and Ryan has to go to the right hand side to avoid it. There's probably no damage from that contact, but that was very, very close. As Mara
pretty wheel to wheel, but Ryan did nearly lose it on exit after the contact. As this is allowing Martin to close up even closer and even closer, so he's now going to be a threat. Ryan's going to be looking to attack Tuka. He's going to have to defend from Ryan as well, from Martin as well. As Lassie opens up a 6/10 lead at the front. It's not going to pull him out of DRS range, so Tuka's still going to have that to defend with, but it is going to make him pretty invulnerable to attacks. So we've got another spinner. It's Camel again.
Camille.
He's having a bad day. As the 3-second time penalty for Duhaston, Camel spins again. We should have put Camel in the Haas, because he's definitely me as a spinner.
No. Okay,
sorry, that's cruel.
Tuka and Lasse Rasmussen are going at it again. Tuka's braking very late and trying to go around the outside again. As,
the contact from Ryan spun!
Oh! What happened?
And he's beached in the wall!
What happened with him?
Ryan went for the move as Tuka ran deep into Remus, and there was contact and Ryan spun, so he's now dropped all the way down to 12th place.
Does he have damage? I cannot see anything from his front wing.
I think so.
If he doesn't have any damage, he has gotten away from that very
those tires are going to be very hot, so he's going to have to nurse them for a lap or so.
At least he still has the opportunity to get a lot of positions, as there are 8 people in front of him, so he can still get a lot of points in today's race. So he just has to be focused and just keep the pace coming.
Yeah, he needs to catch this 3-second gap up to Jamie, but Jamie currently has DRS from Paolo, and then there's basically a train then all the way up to George in 5th.
And
as Tuka and Lassie going wheel to wheel again at Remus, and Tuka's got the lead this time, and that's going to compromise Lassie's line, and that's going to give Martin a run at him down into Roche. Lassie defends with the DRS.
Oh, and they nearly take contact. That was very close. I think that's like
avoiding action on entry.
That was.
I think maybe Lassie broke slightly earlier than Martin was expecting.
He is attacking these corners a lot, as George just has a 3-second time penalty. Let's move away from the title battle, as there are...
Elliot spun.
Oh, Elliot's a spun.
Elliot spun and is dropping down the field.
That is very unfortunate.
He'll be passed by... Yep, so he's all the way down in 11th now, with Ryan breathing down his neck as he rejoins the circuit. And he's going to have to defend those. Whoa, he gets wide in the second last corner in Rin. And that gives Ryan 1 place, so he's gained 1 place back as George pits. That's very early.
It is.
is going for an audacious undercut on the mediums.
Or maybe he's doing a two-stop as well. Anything can.
Oh, that's possible.
Anything can be an option. Even though a two-stop in Austria is probably not recommended, but...
Do Austria tyres, do Austria tyres. Oh, he's
Oh,
binned it
safety
out
car.
turn 1, and that's a safety car.
Who has binned it?
Duhast has massively binned it out of turn 1. There's tyres off that car.
For me, he's in turn 7. So
Oh.
there is this desync
That's
from
desync.
that. But at least it's not everyone, it's only him. So at least something.
Yeah.
In one league race, I had everyone desynced. Everyone was desynced. And it
I had
was
that
carnage.
last week. Everybody was desynced from me.
And then I had
So
two
I
cars
got
flying
controlled
in
by
the
the
air.
bot, and I ran the race as a time trial. And I qualified P2 as well, which is really annoying.
I qualified in P11, but someone collided with me for no reason. Probably they desync, and then I got a 5-second grid penalty, and then started P16.
So we're
Thankfully,
gonna have some duels here in the pit lane.
yes, everyone's going in, except for
Pretty
those
much
who already
Robbie and
stopped.
Paolo carry on, but they are on the mediums. The Robbie and Paolo carry-ons will now be 1 and 2. But they will have these guys on brand new medium tyres right behind them. And then by Tuca and Lassie, and then mine. And Raphael comes out of the pits, and this has actually come at a really good time, because he's managed to put those medium tyres on, and he's going to close that gap up to the leading 3 that they've managed to build. And it'll all kind of depend how fast they can clear Robbie and Paolo on those older medium tyres. There will be 2-1 by now, 9-10 laps into the race, but they will be a little bit slower.
They still haven't stopped, I think. They started on those, so...
No, the top 2 haven't stopped. Everybody else is pit now. Top 2 haven't. Everybody else has.
I think that maybe going on hards would be pretty good, because...
They are kind of
you
slow,
need-
and 26 laps on the medium isn't that bad. Like, the
You-
expected pit window is like lap 15, so lap 10 is not too early.
I mean, hards are slow, but you're gonna lose a free pit stop. If you don't pit on the safety car and you pit like in 7 laps, you're gonna lose 29 seconds of the cars in front of you.
It's not that long.
It's not that long, but if you pit during the safety car, you can catch up to everyone, and you're gonna be like 5 seconds behind everyone. So I call it a free pit stop, because like you don't lose almost any time, because you're still gonna be close to everyone else, and you're gonna
You're going to be close to the
have a lot of
cars in front, but
opportunities.
attacking them on hards is going to be difficult, and then the cars behind you are all going to be on softs or mediums. Probably mediums.
I don't know.
So they're going to have the ability to attack you, and you're not really going to be able to defend them. As it is now, they're going to have to hope that Robbie and Paolo are going to have to hope that they can build some sort of gap, maybe not to the guy straight behind them, maybe not to the likes of Tuca, but they weren't really fighting with Tuca anyway, but hope that they can build a gap to the sort of the lower half of the points, sort of Raphael backwards. And maybe then when they make their stop, it's going to be a gap that they can close up with those new softs they're going to have. Because everybody else is going to be on these sort of slowly dying mediums now until the end of the race.
We do have 2 hard runners with Ryan, who was almost leading the race, and Greg. So that's pretty interesting.
And Jacob, both Ferraris have gone on hards.
Oh yeah, Jacob as well. We do have a bit of penalties, but only 3 seconds. No one has touched anyone during the safety car just yet, but it still can happen. So that's...
Never say never.
never say never.
Penalty shouldn't be a huge thing here.
Probably.
You have to be a bit crazy to get time penalties here, really.
But it is
Safety
pretty
car
easy.
is in this lap.
It is pretty
So
easy
let's see
to...
how Robbie handles this restart.
Let's see. He is on older tires, so he's gonna be having a pretty difficult time, but let's hope that he can do it.
And he's gone. He's gone out of the last corner.
We are starting! 5-second time penalty,
Oh.
severe collision with Ryan!
George is DNF'd. George is DNF'd.
Oh, what has happened to him?
He appears to have lost it out of the last corner.
Probably cold tires, and he tried to get the exit wrong.
He's got a bit too hasty with the loud pedal.
Lassie
As
and
Greg has a
Tuca.
5-second penalty as well now for speeding in the pit lane and retires from the session.
Oh, Lassie and
Championship leader
Tuca.
retires from the session.
Oh, this safety car restart is going very badly, and Lasse and Tuka almost touch Paolo at his back end, which that's actually bad. A bad way to say it. As Jacob is trying to go around the inside of Michael Mischler, they're still going side by side into turn 5, but Jacob has gotten in front of him with hard tires, so he's making a big use of these. But still, he will have to conserve if he wants to get to the end, which will probably be easy, but you can never know. Tuka and Lasse Rasmussen are trying to get past Paolo and Rob, who are on older medium tires, so if they can clear them as soon as possible, they will have clean air from the guys behind them. We do have a yellow sector 3 with Camille retiring from the session. He seriously had a very bad day today, as he had a wrong setup.
Bad day at the office. But Robbie's managed to build a bit of a gap up back to Paolo, but Paolo's coming under heavy pressure from these guys.
Oh, Lasse is doing a very big dive bomb.
Side by side, Remus!
Oh, and Tuka's trying to go around the outside.
All about the drive on the way out.
And they're still
They're
side by side
all the way down to Roche. They almost touch.
And Tuka breaks a bit earlier.
Lasse's got the inside line. He's going to leave space. Does.
And Tuka got a better exit, but he was blocked by Paolo, and Lasse Rasmussen takes that position for free. And Paolo...
Oh, then we're going to both get Paolo.
And Paolo has been overtaken by both Lasse and Tuka, as Rafael gets 3-second time penalty.
Rafael gets Martin behind as well. It's all kicking off now.
Jesus Christ.
Paolo's slipping backwards. Lasse and Tuka managed to clear him both round Pirelli. And then he got a compromised line, which then slowed Martin down and allowed Rafael to overtake and get up into P5 in the Mercedes. So after their great qualifying, it's not really been a great race for AlphaTauri.
Lasse Rasmussen is going
Jamie
to be our
now
leader.
overtakes Elliot as well for P9.
And our leader has overtaken Rob.
And Rafael's getting Paolo.
And Tuka's going around the outside of Rob into turn 3. And that was a really good move, as Rob loses...
Rob gets a big snap of oversteer, which is going to open him up now to attack from Rafael into Roche.
But he's way too far behind to try and make a move.
Just hold the position. Deploy some ERS, stays in front. But Lassie in the lead only has 30% of his battery left, so he spent a lot of his ERS to get past these cars. But Tuka behind still has 80%.
Tuka will have a big advantage of the ERS, so he will get past him pretty quickly, probably at the start-finish straight if he wants to overtake there. That's pretty risky place to overtake, but
yeah, the run down into Remus is a lot better. It's a lot easier. It's a heavy braking point at the end of the DRS straight, which gives you a much better time with an overspeed to try and make that move.
And just behind them we have almost...
Edge.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we almost had a 3 wide with Rob, Rafael and Martin, almost. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Rafael
goes defensive into Remus, and then he's attacking Rob as well.
Oh, and Rob leaves him no space, and they collide with each other.
And Martin's gonna get both.
And Martin takes P3 in today's race.
And Rafael swoops across and blocks Paolo.
Oh, but Paolo has glitched to P8.
Oh, he's teleported backwards.
I think that Rafael has damage.
There's a bit of a desync.
Probably.
He possibly has front wing damage after that. There's a 3-second time penalty now for Michael as well, who's made his way up into P6. We completely missed that.
Of course.
Still Lassie and Tuka fight at the front. And George spins coming through the middle sector. So that's going to drop him right to the back of the field.
Elliot is trying to get in front of Paolo, which will probably be a pretty easy move, as Elliot is on 10-lap fresher tires than Paolo. Paolo gets a bit wider on the exit of turn 1, but Elliot is using everything in his disposal, and he's going to run the inside, and let's see if he can overtake him. Paolo still braking a bit late to try and keep that position, but he does get 3-second time penalty as Elliot goes around the inside and overtakes him. But Paolo is trying to go around the inside into turn 4. But
make it stick.
He just missed the opportunity. But that was really close with those two. But Elliot now has clean air to catch Jamie and probably overtake him, as he had pretty good pace in qualifying. He was P5, or P4 actually, I think. So he might have a pretty good chance to still get into the top 5 or top 4 maybe. As Rob and Jamie, Rob and Paolo still haven't stopped.
There's a DRS train now, all the way back from Robbie, all the way back down into 10th, to Jacob in 10th place in the Ferrari.
Raphael.
In that, you've got Robbie and Paolo, of course, that haven't stopped, so they'll have to make a pit stop probably within the next 5 or 6 laps. As Raphael tries to make a move into Remus, gets down the inside. It's just
but Rob breaks very late.
Contact.
Nearly spins, and Jamie has taken the opportunity and has overtaken Raphael for P5, so he gained around 2 or 3 positions by that
Red
little
Bull
accident.
Games there. Oh, and Jamie runs into the back of Robbie. They run down into Roche. Robbie on those older tyres having to brake that a little bit earlier.
Oh, and they nearly collided with one another, and Jamie had to break the bollard at the outside, and they're going side by side, Raphael and Jamie, but there was a little contact with the Alpine, and Alpine has spun, but thankfully he has no damage, and he can still...
Jamie's in the gravel.
And Jamie as well. Oh, that's
contact
very
between Michael and Jamie, and they both end up in the gravel, and they're both going to drop back to the bottom of the points now.
Jesus.
That's going to release Raphael now to attack Robbie. Mercedes against Red Bull. This could go well.
Probably.
Martin's managed to bridge that gap now towards the top 2. They had sort of started to drop him a bit, but now he's in fresh air. He's managed to bridge most of that gap, and he's just outside the DRS range. As Tuka and Lassie have been dueling. They both managed to regenerate their ERS quite a lot. Tuka's actually full on his ERS. Martin spent quite a lot to catch up to them. He's down to just 20%. But it's quite easy to regenerate around here. There's a fair few hard braking points, and it's quite a short lap, so you're not on the power all that much.
Raphael going side by side with Rob, and has overtaken him for P4.
Raphael makes the move around Roche for P4.
Elite.
So let's see now if he can gain that 4 seconds up to Martin that he needs in order to join this fight at the front. But he does have penalties, and the guys 6 seconds worth, and the guys in front don't.
Yes, he does.
So the likes of Robbie and Elliot will be hoping just to hang on to Raphael's coattails as much as anything else. Maybe make that position up with penalties at the end of the race if they don't get an opportunity on track. And a 3-second penalty for Ryan down in P9. And he's trying to make himself back up from the spin he had earlier.
And Elliot is going side by side with Rob into turn 1, but makes that move stick. Pretty risky.
Makes it around the outside. Nice. But this might give Rob a better run down into Remus.
And he has a bit more ERS, Rob.
Elliot doesn't go defensive.
And they
Robbie doesn't have the overspeed to get there. So he's going to probably try again now into Roche. Elliot defending with what little bit of ERS he has left, but Robbie's got a lot more and can use it all the way down this straight.
And he's doing...
Still not close enough.
Oh, and he backed off of the move.
Martin's now right on the back of Tuka. So Lassie's definitely slowing Tuka down, I think, because Martin's just cruised right up to the back of them and managed to save his ERS back up to 50% as well.
So we have a 3-way battle for the lead, which is very interesting. And none of them have a penalty of any sort.
And they're all going to the end on these tyres.
And they are all going on.
So we start lap 20 then. Lassie in the Haas leads by 6/10 from Tuka in the Aston Martin behind him. And then Martin in the Alpha Tauri another 5/10 back. These three have a 4.5 second gap back to Raphael in the Mercedes, who's coming under pressure from the second Alpha Tauri of Elliot. Elliot's got the DRS, but he doesn't have any ERS in order to fight. Then we've got a 2.5 gap back to Robbie, who's yet to pit in P6 in the Red Bull, with Jacob in P7. On the hard tyres, definitely going to the end in the Ferrari. And looks like he's gonna make a move now into Roche. Robbie doesn't have DRS, and yeah, Jacob gets in front before the braking zone, manages to pull back across to the racing line and takes P6. So he's making those hard tyres work for him.
And Elliot has
Raphael
also
and Elliot going side by
Raphael.
side into Pirelli, and Elliot makes the move around the outside.
Very impressive indeed. He is now currently P4, so that is going to be 12 points on his name if he can stay in P4 and not retire.
28 points coming out for Tauri's way, because Elliot also has the fastest lap. Never mind.
Tuka with
Tuka sets a new fastest lap with a 106.6.
Was it Tuka?
4 tenths back now from Mantos.
Oh, Martin has a 3-second time penalty.
Oh, so he needs to overtake these guys and build a 3-second lead.
Maybe he can go for softs on lap 30 or maybe 28 and then try to get closer to them maybe. But I'm not a professional strategist. But Elliot and Raphael are going into turn 4 side by side. Raphael going on the inside line has overtaken Elliot, but Elliot has a...
comes back on the brakes.
But has not overtaken him.
Raphael's got more ERS to defend as well, so he gets the move done. But these two fighting is just dropping them further and further back from this front 3. There's now a 6-second gap between Raphael and Martin.
Rob and Jacob really are also fighting.
Try and work together to push further up. But Robbie's doing pretty well here. He's managing to hold on to the back of Jacob.
And he's going into the pit lane.
Yeah, but just pitting. And he crosses the white line on entry though.
But thankfully, this is not real life, and he's not gonna be awarded a penalty because of that.
No, but the stewards will get you, even if the game doesn't.
If anyone reports that, then yeah, but I don't think they will. As
the stewards watch the stream.
I mean, Voy is not here, so he's not watching. We have a retirement of George in the Mercedes.
He's crashed. He has crashed in sector 2.
I cannot see how he crashed.
Paolo gets a 3-second time penalty.
We have
the second one, so he's now on 6 seconds.
We only have 11 runners in the race, 6 retirements currently, and still 14 laps to go. So there is still a lot of things that we can see, of course, with the 3-way battle for the lead. But Raphael spins in turn 7, I think that is.
Yeah, that's going to give Elliot a definite advantage now into P4. Jacob is 2 seconds back and on harder tyres, so we'll have to see if he can make that up, although Elliot does have that 3-second penalty. So he's going to have to gain a second if he wants to keep 4th place at the race end. But Jacob's going to be trying to catch up. And Ryan's now already up to P6, just a second and a half back from Jacob, so he's going to hope to bridge that little gap, get in the DRS range, before Jacob manages to get into Elliot, and then hopefully use the DRS to pass him. As Robbie gets another 3-second penalty, so that's now 6 seconds as well. Fighting with Paolo now at the back of the field. Maybe you're right, they should have pit, although Robbie has pit, which is come out on the softs, which is what's put him to the back. Paolo's currently running 10th, and will soon be 11th and last, as Robbie's making a move now into Remus. Hard on the brakes, fresh tyres, soft tyres, can brake much later, and gets that move done. And because of the detection, whoa, he was actually in front of the detection point, so Paolo's going to have the DRS down here. But Robbie spends some ERS, stays in front, and he should be able to pull away now through Sector 2. Softer tyres and Paolo suffering with the dirty air. And
we also have a battle for the lead. I'm sorry for interrupting. Tuka and Martin Valo going into turn 1, nearly colliding with each other, but
I think there was a bit of contact there.
A little bit, but not anything major. And Martin had a pretty bad exit, but Lasse Rasmussen is really slow into turn 3. As he locks up.
He has no ERS left. He spent all his ERS to try and stay in front of Tuka.
And Tuka has 80%. Jinx.
I think I'd have spent all of that on the run down to Roche to try and get the lead.
I would.
The best way to defend from someone is to get a car between you.
Tuka is probably waiting for the perfect opportunity and the perfect time to overtake Lasse, as he knows that he will fall behind as soon as he overtakes him, because he has a lot to defend with. So he's just waiting for the perfect moment. And he doesn't really need to worry about Martin, as Martin is going into the pit lane right now. So,
wow.
So he is doing what I said.
He's trying this audacious 2-stop. I think the field's too close.
So
I think he's just going to get caught up in DRS somewhere.
I jinxed it, so he is going on
work. If he can make this work, this is going to be Hungary 2019 level shit.
But, he's going on mediums.
Mediums?
Why didn't he go on softs?
What?
As I said, he would.
Huh. Different.
And Michael...
I was expecting softs to try and charge.
Maybe he had used softs and none to spare, as Michael in the Alpine is also going into the pit lane. Very interesting.
Santos has DRS out of pits.
Oh, and
he had it on the detection zone.
Tuka has overtaken Lasse. Tuka's
Tuka
overtaking
takes the
Lassie.
lead. So I wonder if he wanted to stay P2 so he had the DRS to defend from Martin, but as soon as Martin's now peeled off into the pits, he's decided to go for it. See if he can spend some of this DRS. He's got 90%. If he can, and Lassie's spending all of it to stay in touch. See if he can spend some of this DRS, try and build a gap. I think Lassie's pitting.
He's going into the pit lane.
Ooh.
This is...
When did this become a two-stop?
This is very interesting. Raphael gets 3 seconds, but let's see if Rassi
Is he
goes.
defending from the undercut from Martin, maybe?
We do have a spin of Raphael.
A spin from Raphael.
And Lassie's going on softs. So why didn't...
Softs for Lassie.
So why didn't Martin go for softs? As
He maybe forgot to change his settings, as that promotes Ryan now back onto the podium.
Could be, and Martin Val has overtaken Lassie for P2, respectively.
The undercut.
The undercut has worked wondrously, but Lassie has soft tires, so he's gonna have the advantage. Probably into turn 3.
These tires, how old are these tires? Yeah, Martin's mediums are fresh. They are a brand new set.
And Lassie's going around the outside.
So
he's very fast.
Set, but yeah, he just can't defend from that.
Now,
yeah, he has even less ERS. He spent a lot of his battery in order to do that undercut on Lassie. But by these two pitting, and by Martin getting ahead of Lassie, remember when Martin pit, Lassie was in first, that forces Tuka essentially into a 1-star. He has to stay out now. Because he's just going to get undercut by both of them. And he'll have a tyre advantage on one, he might have a tyre advantage on Martin, but he's not going to have one on Lassie.
The only things that Tuka has on his deck is Jacob, as Ryan will probably let Lassie through and probably hold up Martin. So Lassie's
team orders might be coming in from the Haas boys here.
I mean, he is already going a bit slowly, so he's trying to get in the DRS range to get even faster, but he does lock up and go very deep. That allows Martin to get a bit closer, but he's still on mediums. He's gonna be not that fast as Lassie, as he's doing the fastest lap I think right now, and he's gotta get the extra point for it. But I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, now this is interesting. If Tuka remains out on track, he has around 50% chance to win. But if he pits, he's gonna be behind both Ryan and Martin. So he...
Yeah, Lassie and Mantos essentially need to lap 2 seconds a lap faster than Tuka now in order to catch him. There's a 16-second gap with 8 laps remaining. So they need to find 2 seconds a lap, as yeah, Ryan does pull to the side and lets Lassie go. You're gonna cut across and try to stop Martin?
Oh, nearly.
That's a bit dangerous.
Oh, and Ryan and Martin take contact.
Gap. There's contact there.
There was contact between Martin and Ryan, as Ryan is seriously squeezing him off track and really defending that place.
Trying to defend here into Remus.
Oh, and he's pushing him off track.
Leaves no space.
This is serious team orders. That's very interesting. And Martin Val will have the outside line, but Ryan is still squeezing him off track, and he stays in front. That's
very firm defense. I'm not entirely sure it's firm, but fair. Very firm. As Paolo's lost 2 places. Is he still not pit? He's still on mediums. Is he not pit?
Who, Paolo?
Oh no, he has pit. He's put on a new set of mediums. Didn't he start on mediums?
Jesus Christ. I'm very sorry.
Paolo started on mediums, so
And
he's going to have to pit again for soft, or he's going to get disqualified.
Ryan has been overtaken by Martin into turn 1, and we've just received
But
a comment.
he has given Lassie a 1.1 second gap. And Lassie's now overtaking Jacob with the DRS.
And Ryan is going around the inside
right.
of Martin as well.
Oh, the Haas boy's playing some games here. So Lass now up in second place. He's got 7 laps in order to catch Tuka and a 14-second lead to close. Let's see what Tuka's last lap was.
Yes.
Tuka's last lap was a 107.6. Lassie's last lap was a 106.4. So we need to find a second a lap to catch him. As Michael gets another 3-second time penalty, he's now on 9 seconds.
We've just received a comment that Ryan Chapman is equal to Alonso.
Alonso.
And that's
Pretty
very
much,
accurate.
pretty much.
Very accurate.
So the gap's now down to 13 seconds at the front.
Oh,
Lassie's
Ryan
basically
Chapman.
going to have to put in 6 qualifying laps here.
Ryan
He
Chapman
doesn't have any ERS. As we've got a spinner in sector 2.
Martin Valo is going
Nice.
really wide and abusing all of the excess track. That should be a warning, probably.
I mean, if he overtook off the track, he has to give the place back, which he does on the entry to Remus and then overtakes on the exit.
And they're still fighting into turn 4.
All this is costing my time.
But Ryan doesn't.
He lost touch completely with Lassie. He's now 3 seconds behind Lassie.
This is actually really bad for Martin, as he has 3 seconds. So that this battle with Ryan has taken his chances
Ryan also
to
has a
probably.
3-second penalty there, so Ryan's fighting here for position. He's fighting for 4th place on the road.
I think that.
As Elliot overtakes Robbie behind them.
Where?
To get P6.
Ooh, very nice.
Good day for Alpha Tauri and a good day for Haas.
A brilliant
As
day
the
for
gap
Haas.
now down to 12 seconds. So Lassie's taking a second a lap out of Tuca. But it's not enough. He doesn't have enough laps left.
If Tuca can just keep it safe until the end of the race, he will win today's race. But Martin now has a job to overtake Jacob and extend 3 seconds. His fight with Ryan was pretty bad, and that wasn't allowing them to...
Fiery. I think the word you're looking for is fiery.
Okay, fiery. And really bad for Martin, as he lost a lot of time. But he
gets a good drive out of Remus though, so he's going to have... He shouldn't be able to make a move into Roche, but he has no ERS. But neither does Jacob to defend. He's around the outside of Roche. He's going to have to leave space on the inside, but he does get the move done.
Now he only has to extend
Jacob's
3
still making
seconds.
those hards work. But he has to build a 3-second gap here, Martin, in order to keep that position on the podium.
Which he will probably do. Like 20 laps old hards are way worse than 5 lap old mediums.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Martin would have pitted for softs, would he be second? And fighting with Lassie for P2.
He'd be fighting with Lassie. I don't know if he'd be P2 or not, but he'd definitely be fighting with Lassie. He wouldn't have been held up so much by Ryan, I don't think, with the softs. He'd have just got so much more traction out of the corners than Ryan's hards.
He only needs to keep it on track to remain and get the final podium position. But we do have 4 laps
Well,
remaining.
he needs to build that 3-second gap to Jacob first. Jacob's currently just sitting in his DRS.
And Jacob
Using
is...
that to drag him along, keep him away from Ryan.
Yes.
But his exits are starting to suffer now out of corners. He's losing quite a lot of time on the exit of Remus. Which gains a bit of it back with the DRS down into Roche, but not all of it. And he's now out of the DRS range, so if Martin can keep up this pace, that's going to drop Jacob out of DRS. Which should help Martin build that 3-second gap. So Lassie's now got the gap at the front down to 10 seconds, but there's only 4 laps left.
While that is happening, we
starts lap 33.
We have a battle with Jamie and Paolo, as Jamie went around the inside, I think, of Paolo and has overtaken him for P8. Paolo has pitted for
12
softs.
seconds of penalties.
And Paolo has pitted for softs as well. Wait, has Tuca set a fastest lap?
Robbie currently has the fastest lap.
Oh, okay.
105.7, which was set early in the race. So, the thing with Lassie fighting with Martin is it basically cost him the brand new softs to set that fastest lap, and he doesn't have any ERS to sort of make up the difference in now in tyre wear. He's basically emptying his battery every lap.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Paolo and Jamie were side by side for the entire 3rd sector, and Paolo has overtaken him into turn 1, around the inside. That was very intense, and Jamie now has the ERS, but has no ERS, but Paolo's not defending anything. And Jamie's going around the inside, but he overshots the corner, and Paolo has overtaken him still. Jamie doesn't have any DRS because Paolo was behind him, and that is going to be a pretty easy move. Paolo has pitted for new softs, so he will have the advantage for that, and he will probably just pull away from the Red Bull driver.
Yeah. I think it was an MFD issue with Paolo because he should have pitted for the softs initially. But that's cost him an extra pit stop. Which, if you're talking normal, like they tend to be sort of 20 seconds for a pit stop. And I mean, that will put him around about where Elliott is, after Elliott's made his 2 stops for softs. So it has cost him a few points, but the difference between P6 and P8 isn't huge.
Now Raphael is in
we
the
can
DRS
see
of
the AI hold out pit boards, which are completely pointless because you can't read them. They're impossible. I've tried. They're impossible.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're doing 200 miles an hour down the straight, yeah, you can't read that shit.
That's why we have engineers.
I mean, I'm blind, but I mean, come on.
That's why we have engineers who speak stuff to us.
Yeah. So Michael's pit for fresh soft, so he is going for that fastest lap. But unless you can find a 26-second gap to Raphael, all that's going to do is take the fastest lap point away from Red Bull. It's not going to give him a point. You have to finish inside the top 10 to get awarded a point for the fastest lap. And it has put him a lap behind Tuka.
And now
so maybe he did it sort of tactically, because Raphael gets a 3-second time penalty as another 3-second time penalty.
Speaking of Raphael, he is battling with Jamie for P9 into the start-finish straight they go currently.
The fight between Paolo and Jamie has brought Raphael into this.
Yes.
Paolo's managed to get away a bit.
Raphael has a pretty good exit off of turn 1. He has the DRS, but only a little bit of DRS to spare. He is going around the outside as Jamie is defending pretty well. And Raphael moves on the inside line and nearly collides with Jamie.
Jamie goes deep into Remus again.
But he has the DRS, so maybe if Raphael will not defend, he is going to run the outside Jamie and brakes very late. And let's see if he can make the move stick. Raphael is leaving just enough space for Jamie. They are still going side by side into turn 5. And they nearly collide with one another, and Raphael going around the outside, and Jamie, let's see. And Raphael gets a pretty okay exit, but they collide, and Jamie has spun it into the wall. Jamie probably doesn't have damage off of that, but he did hit the wall only a tiny bit. But that's very unfortunate for Jamie, as he will lose 2 points. He will only get 1 point, and maybe Michael can get the. Maybe Michael can close the gap.
Waiting for the intervals to update. Michael's unlapped himself from Tuka. He's on the 25 lap old mediums. Michael on brand new softs.
25.
Oh shit! It's the last lap. These laps are so short. As Tuka now rounds the final turn, and he will win. The 2-stop strategy didn't pay off for Lassie, as Michael does set a fastest lap with a 105.4. Tuka wins. The final gap back to Lassie 6.5 seconds. Lassie didn't quite have enough laps or enough pace to catch. As Martin comes over for P3.
Jacob
gets P4. Jacob's picked up a penalty in those last few laps, so he won't be close enough. As Ryan manages P5 after his earlier spin. Elliott gets P6 to round out a good day for AlphaTauri. And Robbie comes home in P7 for Red Bull. And now we have Paolo and then Raphael. Raphael's currently 4.2 seconds behind Paolo with 3 seconds less of penalties. So he's not going to be able to make that up. So Paolo P8, Raphael P9, and Jamie is going to be far enough in front of Michael to take P10. Michael's still 6 seconds behind and also has 9 seconds of penalties.
And he's probably going
so
on
that fastest lap point isn't going to go to anybody. So maybe a bit of team play from Alpine to take a point away from Red Bull.
But it depends if you can get it.
And another 3 seconds. He got it last lap.
But
sometimes... He got a 5-4 last lap because he had DRS from Tuka for the first 2 straights.
Sometimes when you get a warning, you invalidate your flying lap. So that's a new addition. So maybe his lap was invalidated.
That doesn't normally happen in race.
That doesn't normally happen, but that was just included. As we see Tuka on the final step of the podium, very, very happy as he's lifting that beautiful
for Aston Martin.
Wait,
but with different drivers.
Wait, are you serious? Back to back. I mean, that's
Nathan won last week for Aston Martin. With Tuka pressuring him actually as a reserve driver in the Alfa Romeo. So Nathan's promotion has given Tuka his seat.
And he's first
playing well with it, and he has won.
His first win of the season.
Tuka finishes first place for Aston Martin, which is going to extend their lead at the top of the championship, with Alfa Romeo not scoring points today. Both of their normal drivers were absent, so we had one reserve who unfortunately didn't finish. Lassie finishes P2, 6.5 seconds back, with Martin in P3, followed by Jacob in the Ferrari, Brian in the second Haas, so a good points haul for Haas today. P2 and a P5, that is, my calculations are correct, 28 points. Elliot comes home in the second Alpha Tauri in P6, with Robbie for Red Bull in P7, Paolo P8 for Williams, Raphael P9 for Mercedes, and the second Red Bull for Jamie rounds out the points positions from P10. Michael gets the fastest lap but finishes P11, so there won't be a fastest lap point. So maybe, like I say, maybe a bit of team play there from Alpine to stop Red Bull getting that extra point.
And I think that my game is glitched.
Oof.
Yes. Oof indeed. But anyways, that was actually a pretty good race. We had big battles in the qualifying session, as the top 4 were separated only by less than a tenth. We had a pretty good battle, a pretty good 3-way battle in the race as well, and a lot of different races as well.
I tabbed out and my F1 2021 crashed, so I'm out of the game. So that was timing.
Okay, just a second. Should we do any interviews?
I have asked if Tuka, Lassie, or Martin want to do any. So just have to wait and see if any of them say yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna set something up which I haven't. Just a second. There we go. So, we are waiting for a few people to say if they want to be interviewed, and the interviews are hosted by Adam Lapidge, because I seriously don't know what to ask people, so that's being taken by him.
Okay, so Tuka can't. He's got places to be and things to do. Or things to be and places to do. I'm not judging.
It's okay.
Ryan's complaining about his snaps from oversteer like he had last week at Silverstone. Which actually had on turn 1 of the race, which meant he was driving recovery the whole time. Which is unfortunate for him. He's definitely got pace. He was a brand new reserve driver last week and he's definitely got very good pace. He just seems to have issues with his setups. They're a bit too twitchy on the rear end. Well, Lassie and Martin haven't said anything, so I don't know if they want to or not.
Let's just round it off here then, because we don't have a lot of time to wait, so let's just round it off. Thank you everybody so much for watching today's PC2 race, round 7 of course, in Austria. I hope that you have enjoyed, and thank you for watching. I already said that. Why are endings of videos and streams always so difficult to do?
You're just not good at goodbyes.
I don't want to say goodbye. I want to
So we will see everyone next week, where we are racing in France. So that could be fun. The thing a lot of people don't know about Paul Ricard is it was actually developed and created for wet weather testing. So the track in real life holds water extremely well. Now, Codemasters haven't coded that in, unfortunately, because it's comedy. So when it rains in France, it stays wet for a long time, even after it stopped raining. Because it's got sprinkler systems and skid pans and all that sort of stuff.
And one more fun fact. It does get
quite interesting around there.
One more fun fact. Me and Adam here crashed in one league there as well.
Yeah, we did. You lost it right in front of me.
and
I took your front wing off. Took your front wheel off.
And then I retired.
And my front wing, I think gave 2 guys punctures with the remnants of my front wing sat on the track.
And then they died as well.
Also both DNF'd. Like, yeah!
So I was fault of all 4 DNFs in that race. Or actually 2 or 3.
I didn't DNF. I was alright, I just had no front wing.
Oh yeah, it was only me and Mansu and someone else.
And Amir. Yes.
Oh yes.
So he crawled all the way around the lap with no front wing, and then was a lap down and went, "Screw this, I'm retiring."
So that was. I'm very sorry. I hope that doesn't happen next week again. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So anyways, thank you everybody so much for watching. And like Adam said, we'll see you next time in France. And have a good night or have a good day. And stay safe, everyone. And see you probably tomorrow if you're gonna watch the stream.
We are in PC1 tomorrow. And if not, we will see you next week for more PC2 action.
Yes. Take care, everyone. And see you next time.